Hey, boys.
Hey,
What's going on?
how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great.
I know you've got your heart out. We've got all this. We've got it laid out. I've got you. We've got 42 minutes with you.
Wow, that sounds like plenty of time. I'm just happy to be here. You guys have been having a great time. I've enjoyed the whole thing. It's my first time watching as much of your streaming as I've done today.
Well, okay, two things. One, you're sounding a little bit echoey again. Let's move the mic back to where you were at before.
Hold on. How's that?
Do it again.
Is that better?
Is he supposed to speak into the top of it or the side of it?
The side of it.
You're supposed to speak
Okay, how about
into the
that?
side of it.
Better?
That's better. A little bit.
Way better?
Not particularly.
Not way better.
Okay, hold on. How about that?
There we go.
There we go.
That's the stuff.
That's much better.
That's good bass. That's good bass.
So how you been? So let me hold on, people. Maybe just signing in. Everybody, this is Tom Petersen from NVIDIA. He does some stuff there. He's been a frequenter of our live streams in the past, usually talking about specific hardware or specific features that they're introducing today. No such specificity, if you will. Just 45 minutes with our friend Tom.
Who knows what, right? We could talk about this brand new mic that you're teasing me about. I mean, I went so far as to get a mic, and you're teasing me about it the first thing? Jesus.
Maybe we should also tease you about your internet connection, because it just got a little crunkly there. But there you go, we're better.
Please stand by. Please stand by.
No, you're good now.
I'm good now?
I mean,
okay.
Stop whatever downloads you have going in the background, I guess.
Okay, please stand by. I think I'm stopping streaming. That should do everything.
Okay, that's good. So what did you think so far? We've been streaming 6 hours and 15 minutes.
I actually think you guys are doing a great job. I mean, I think the content's pretty good, and I think the gaming was fun. Coonrad did great, and I like the format. And I'm excited to see you, kind of helping the Patreon site. So it's all good.
Good. Glad to hear. I'm always interested in feedback here. So let's talk about some stuff. What's going on over at NVIDIA? What are you guys doing?
Well, we're getting, we're busy. It's a very good time. PC gaming's doing great, and we're having a great time at NVIDIA. We, of course, are working on our next big thing. So that's consuming everybody. We always are innovating, and we're always creating the next great platform to help PC gaming along. So that's what we're doing full time. I
will go ahead and tell the chat room, if you guys have specific questions for Tom, put them in the chat room, but add Ryan Shrout to that, so I'll see it pop up through my list here. And anything that I think is funny enough to ask him, I'll go ahead and do so.
Fantastic.
So let's see. What can I ask about it specifically here? So I know you're not going to tell me anything about Pascal. You're not going to tell me anything about time frames for Pascal, right? Or can you?
You are correct.
What if I ask really nicely? Can you tell us when the first Pascal GPUs will be out?
That is an excellent question, and I cannot talk about that right now. Obviously, that would be a big mistake on my part. I'm sure I get a call right after I hang up with you.
Probably during.
Probably during.
You're probably get a call during.
Probably a very short call.
You're fired. Click.
Thank you for your time at NVIDIA. It's been great. Not that great, but yeah.
So, okay, let me ask you this. A lot of our discussion, we had Ben Kuchera from Polygon on our stream today. We just got off the phone, off Skype with David Hewlett, and a lot of our talk was around VR stuff, right? So, and I know that from NVIDIA's point of view, you guys are excited about what VR is because it puts a higher emphasis on GPU technology. So you're going to sell more graphics cards, you're going to sell more higher-end graphics cards, but how do you guys view the VR market currently? Are you targeting a specific, I don't know, like, do you think the 970 requirement is too low? Do you think the 970 requirement is too high for like minimum specs on these systems? Or do you think realistically people need to aim a little bit above those?
Well, I think, first of all, VR is pretty cool. I mean, I've done a million of the demos, and I know you have, and it does give a lot of value, and I think it's going to be important for computing going forward. And I think it's going to be big in gaming, but probably bigger in other non-gaming applications that we don't even know of yet, because it's just that disruptive. It changes the way you may process information in the future. So I'm pretty excited about what could happen with VR. I'm still a wait and see kind of guy still. So I want to see it really happen, get the headsets out there and see how they're accepted by consumers. But the experience for me has been great. Now, related to 970, our challenge is to deliver a great experience on a VR headset. That means you need to have a certain amount of frames per second, usually 90 frames per second in each eye. So you need a fairly beefy GPU to do that. And I know 970 is the min spec. But what we're doing is working on technologies that will hopefully make VR-specific accelerations so that you can get a better experience for VR further down in the stack. So VR is unique in the sense that, most of what you're looking at on the screen, there's two images, but there's some leverage that you can do between the computation for each image. So when you step back and think about if you're going to design a GPU for VR from scratch, there's some optimizations that you can make.
Right.
So I'm excited about that. That's I think going to change the level and how low down the stack you can go. Now I'm all for selling big GPUs that allow even more great technology to be in VR games, and that's going to obviously continue to be a focus.
It was interesting when we were talking with Ben. I brought that up, the idea that in my kind of VR system build mentality, I'm kind of urging people to go higher than a 970 if they can possibly afford it. Right? Go higher than a 970, go higher than the 390, whatever it is. Go above that, because you don't want your initial experience at VR to be anything less than perfect, because it can sour you on the technology. If frame rates dip and you get a little nauseous or whatever it happens to be, you get a headache. He mentioned something interesting about, a lot of these early games and these early demos, and I think he said he's got an HTC Vive at his house, and the early access stuff has about like 28 different demos that he's tried. And the most part, they're not right now trying to have incredibly detailed textures, incredibly detailed worlds, like kind of what we're used to seeing, games like Rise of the Tomb Raider do, or something like that. And instead, they're okay with flat shaded models or more simplistic, I guess, graphic design.
Absolutely.
But they get away with it because when you're in this kind of immersed world, he said, you just don't even think about it. Like, it's not even something that you're like, oh man, I wish this had better textures, or I wish the shadows were better, because everything you see is just this. And if it's done well, it doesn't have to be kind of the same level of fidelity that we have today on other games.
Oh, that's very true. I think the most important thing about VR today is that you are immersed, right? It's really all about creating that immersive experience. And that requires rapid response to head motion. Your frame rate has to be very high to get that low latency. And you also can't drop frames, because that'll break immersion in a second. So as long as you're getting very low latency and very consistent delivery of frames, that's priority number one. And that really does define the experience. Beyond that, you'd like the game to look good, and you'd like the game to kind of be at the same visual quality that you've come to expect from the real world. But I think, honestly, VR developers don't really want to risk having a poor experience, and they're probably biasing down the complexity of the games to make sure that they hit that first most important characteristic.
Yeah, and I think that's actually a very good idea. Like, I think that's a key thing for these guys to get right. Let me ask you this, because this came up as well. The idea in VR of multi-GPU. How easy or more difficult is it than multi-GPU on standard games today? Is it as simple as, well, you've got one GPU per eye and you're done?
That is by far the easiest model. And that is effectively what we're doing with our VR SLI, is effectively you can use one GPU for one eye and another GPU for the other eye. Now, of course, there's complexities, because sometimes those rendered images want to share state from each other. So you still have to share, you still have to communicate cross GPUs. So it's not as easy as, they're completely separate and they're never talking together. So it does have a significant amount of software work to make it, work well. But at the end of the day, that's the general idea. One eye for the left, one GPU for the left eye, one GPU for the right eye. Going forward, it'd be great if you could even do more scaling, right? Because if you could somehow split a frame and do, two halves on one eye and then two halves on another eye. But honestly, that technology is not very good right now, and it's probably a long way away before you see higher scaling for VR.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you about some of the stuff that is kind of been controversial in the last week or so.
Excellent.
And I know this is definitely what you love. So first, the Windows the unified Windows platform, the whole gaming system there of Microsoft selling games through the store, it changes a lot, right? For games that are sold through that, it, as far as I can tell, breaks G-Sync in some significant ways. It may break how GeForce Experience can interact with the user, whether or not you can capture gameplay, change game settings. Does NVIDIA or you have any kind of views on that, or is it more just we're going to stick to what Steam and Origin and Uplay allow us to do and have allowed us to do for years and years?
No, I think the easiest way to think about this is how new it is, right? And how early in the life cycle of delivering, real tier one games through that platform. So I think there's just some growing pains, and there's things that Microsoft is learning and we're learning as these things start rolling out. So I would expect things to change and become, kind of more friendly, more in the model that you're used to. Of course, it's up to Microsoft. They're gonna have to decide how they want this platform to work for them. But I don't believe that they intentionally are preventing auxiliary stuff from working. Now, there's all kinds of conspiracy theories out there, and but I believe that they're honestly just trying to improve the experience through the store. And if they can, they will, and if they do, they'll be successful. But of course, if they're not successful, then it's kind of irrelevant. So in my mind, I think that it's early, and I would expect most of our technology through a combination of Microsoft and NVIDIA will eventually, hopefully, work for games in the store.
Right. What about just the idea of them not allowing horizontal tearing, not allowing like a true VSync disable? Is that something that you think has the possibility to be an improvement over what people have today, or do you think that kind of the initial guttural reaction, if you will, from the enthusiasts about how dare you take this away from us is valid?
I think that in this case, it's a terribly technically complex subject, right? So I think in my mind, I separate the store from just the general behavior for Windows 12. I'm sorry, for DX12. I think we should probably clarify how that works first and then think about the store. Okay. So in my mind, there's a lot of confusion about how windowed works, how full screen exclusive is working. Is there something new called FlipX and iFlip and all that kind of stuff? So I actually was confused when I started looking into this, and I had a bunch of our GPU guys sit down with me last week actually to talk this through. So I think I can talk coherently about it. We'll see. The first thing is, in my mind, there's always been two main modes for Windows, right? There's this windowed composition mode where a game renders into its local frame buffer, and then the DWM, which is the Windows manager, copies that contents to the final surface that it's going to be scanned out on, right? So that's when you rendered into a place separate, it gets copied to a place that's going to be actually what's scanned from. That's what windowed is, right? Because you got to draw borders on it, you got to do composition, and that mode happens whether it's full screen windowed or whether it's normal windowed, and there's a couple other kind of hybrid modes, and that's been that way for a very long time. Now there's another mode in olden days that's called full screen exclusive, which is kind of avoiding all of that copying and all of that composition. So full screen exclusive is what most of our gamers, most of us, play because it doesn't have some of the negatives associated with that copy and that composition. It has some downsides, obviously, because you're not getting all the benefits of composition and overlays and things. But with full screen exclusive, that's where you can start seeing this tearing, because effectively we are flipping to a new rendered image right in the middle of a scan. And that's not happening on composition. Right. On composition, the way it works is the Windows manager on a VSync interval says, hey, what is the last rendered frame game? I'm going to copy it. It's different from the one I'm currently scanning from. So that happens at the end of an interval, and that copy happens. And then the next thing is you won't see that image until the next refresh interval. So there's an added one frame interval of latency added just for the composition.
Right.
Now, another way to think about it is, okay, so now you've got these two modes. How is it changing today? Well, on Win 10 and DX12, there's a new way of games kind of requesting modes, and it's called FlipX. Some people call it Direct Flip. I'm going to hopefully defer to Microsoft because it's confusing what to call it. I'm just going to call it Direct Flip or iFlip or FlipX. You pick your name, right? So the way it works is it's kind of replacing full screen exclusive, but it's not like you're losing that functionality. There's this new mode that if a game requests it, and all DX12 games will, and your driver supports it, which ours does right now, but not everybody's does. So if your driver supports it and the game requests it, then you go into this sort of hybrid mode where you'll be full screen exclusive behavior, which is called iFlip now, and that'll happen whenever Windows decides that it doesn't need to do composition. So Windows now has its own overlay for the game stuff, and it can sort of know when do I need to do composition. And based on that knowledge, we'll flip in and out of this full screen exclusive sort of emulated mode and what we think of as sort of a composited mode. So iFlip is a way for Microsoft to provide more flexibility in the way they're doing composition. And I think it's actually, at the end of the day, going to be pretty good. So that is a real question of, well, now why do you see the frame patterns that you do on the current DX12 games? So when you look at Ashes on AMD, you're seeing that behavior that looks like VSync on, right? Mm-hmm. So it effectively is doing composition. And the reason FCAT is showing those zeros is because those frames are not actually presented. And if you don't present the frames, you know from all the frame rating stuff you've done, it's as if they never happened. So you really can't count them for experience. Now, that's not, it's nobody's fault. It's just you're doing composition, and composition drops frames. So I think that's the way I think about it. You got to understand there's this new mode. It's called iFlip, direct flip. And in this mode, Microsoft is now in charge of determining whether or not composition is happening or not based on all the other stuff that's present in the system.
Interesting. How does this compare to triple buffering?
Orthogonal. Yeah, so think about triple buffering as a way for games to get better performance when they are VSynced. VSynced has behaviors regardless of whether you're doing compositing. So this gets a little complex, but imagine what VSync is trying to do in-game. It says never drop frames and never tear. Always, right? So you're going to get back pressure through the pipeline that's going to end up slowing down the game engine. The game engine is not going to run any faster than the refresh rate of your monitor when VSync is on. So triple buffering is a way for you to, if you're not able to generate 60 frames a second, it's a way for you to be able to generate those intervals that are not half. With double buffering, you're either going to be flipping between 33 and 16 milliseconds. With triple buffering, you can sustain something in the middle.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess that the idea of what Ashes is doing is when they have VSync off, and I think maybe the terminology might need changing on games that use DirectX 12 in that particular mode, because you're not really truly turning VSync off in some cases. But the thing you were talking about where it drops to 0 and you're missing some frames, that only happens on an uncapped VSynced state, I guess, right? Where essentially you can only display 60 frames per second or 60 hertz, but you can render faster than that. And any frames that are rendered before the VSync or whatever, and it has another frame done, kind of get expelled. Yeah.
Yeah. Now it gets complicated, right? Because first of all, irregardless of VSync, when you're compositing, the compositor is probably going to drop frames, right? It's doing its best effort to copy, and it may not copy every rendered frame, right? So when VSync is on, usually it's going to copy it, right? Because usually you're not going to generate frames faster than an interval, and the interval is when the copy is going to happen. So with VSync on, everything ought to work just fine. But you're right, with VSync off, you're going to get into some kind of beat pattern of animation synchronized to the sort of the copy pattern of the data.
Right. And from what I understand from the developers I've talked to and the driver guys I've talked to, in reality, Microsoft really only intends that mode to be for like game profiling, hardware profiling, not really like a consumer end mode, right? Mm-hmm. Because of the potential introduction of judder from an animation that's not matching your refresh rate, right? Mm-hmm. I am curious though, how does variable refresh technology like G-Sync get implemented into something like that, right? If the game and the compositing engine doesn't have a fix refresh to target or not target, I guess, depending on what it's doing, how do we think that behavior should work or does work?
Well, to me, it's similar to our windowed G-Sync. So right now we do support windowed G-Sync. And what's happening there is effectively we are somehow tricking the Windows manager into thinking that refreshes are happening with a random rate, right? So effectively, the driver is sort of spoofing Windows into thinking that the monitor itself, that refresh is changing. So we can actually sort of act as a little bit of the master in that picture. And that does allow G-Sync to work in windowed mode. Now, I'd expect that similar technology, and I'm not sure right now what the status of that is, but I'd expect something similar to be able to be done with this new mode, right? When you're running windowed or when you're running composited, the rate that the composition is happening could be controlled effectively by the refresh rate, by effectively the render rate.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little funky, but we've done most of the work already for windowed G-Sync, and hopefully, a lot of that'll just transfer over.
Yeah. Maybe in today's market with the DX11 game, full screen G-Sync versus windowed G-Sync, is the driver doing a lot of additional work in windowed G-Sync than it is on full screen? Because in full screen, essentially, the driver's not really doing anything. It's basically just sending frames whenever it can. The module in the monitor kind of handles all of that. Is that the same thing that's occurring in windowed, or is it more complex on the driver side?
It's more complex on the driver side simply because we have to interface with the Windows manager, right, which is doing the composition. So effectively think of it as we need to sort of give a hint to this system when to do compositing, and the compositing needs to happen roughly at the rate of the render, not at the refresh rate.
Gotcha. Do you have any thoughts, or does NVIDIA have any thoughts on kind of the whole multi-adapter thing, the idea of either combining multiple graphics cards from NVIDIA from different generations, or even cross-vendor support? Is that, that's not really something you support necessarily. It's more on the game developer to really get into, right?
Yeah, it's I think of that whole topic as explicit multi-GPU for DX12, right? And in that mode, the developer does whatever algorithms they want to take advantage of multiple GPUs or multiple dissimilar GPUs or even multiple different GPUs. Now, that work is generally very low return for the developer because the number of people that have multiple GPUs that are similar performance is extremely low unless they're doing SLI or Crossfire with the same GPUs. So in my mind, I don't expect there to be a ton of development there to make that mode work. I'm not opposed to it. I would just say similar to Lucid, you alluded to Lucid a while ago. When they came out, my view was we're not opposing Lucid. We're not against Lucid doing their multi-adapter thing, but we're not going to QA it. And we're not going to spend our resources to make it incredibly good because I know how expensive that is and I know how much work that is. But if a developer, for whatever the reason, wants to make that mode great, I'm all for it. It's kind of cool. It could be fun, and we're not opposed to it. I feel like it is unlikely to be common, right? It's unlikely that large developers that are looking to grow their market or grow the quality of their game are going to spend their effort doing that, rather than supporting multi-GPU mode.
Right. And then the other multi-GPU mode in DX12 essentially acts like SLI does on DX11?
Yep. So there's an implicit and an explicit. And implicit is back to the mode where NVIDIA is going to do a lot of the heavy lifting. We're going to do the profiling, and we're going to work with the developer to make it friendly for AFR, which is the technique that we use for SLI. So it goes back to that kind of traditional NVIDIA is willing to invest the money to make that good, and we're happy to do it. But that's because the economics of development in another model don't make a ton of sense.
Right. Quick reminder here for people, we have 3 more giveaways to do today. So if you go to pcper.com/SOL contest, and what's that stand for, Tom?
Speed of light.
Close. It's at least you didn't get the really wrong one. Streaming out loud.
Oh, okay, that's a good one. It's not the last one.
It's not the last one, right? So SOL contest. PCPer.com/SOL contest. There's a little form there. Fill out. Get your entries in. So we'll have that throughout the rest of the evening as well. I'm looking out the front door, and the sun has finally set on us. It's starting to get dark. which means that
Are
we'll
you guys
start
halfway through?
Well, we're 6 hours and 43 minutes in.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, are you doing like a telethon every year where you do a massive every 24 hours? You just go.
It depends. Like this has been pretty good, right? 24 hours might be a bit much.
Do it.
Well, okay, but you have to man the other 12 hours.
That would be funny. That would be funny.
All right, so I think Andrew Coonrad was giving you some crap on this. I'm going to ask you, what games are you playing right now, Tom?
Again, right now, I'm still, you know what I'm really spending most of my time on? I'm not gaming right this. For the last like 3 weeks, I've stopped gaming. And right now, I have gone deep because I'm working on something that I can't talk about right now, but I'm so excited about it. I had to actually learn how to write my own game engine. So what I've been doing most recently, I went through a whole bunch of vector math, had a great time with vector math, and now I am deep into my game engine. So, and it is, I'm just going through this. There's a guy online, Jamie King. If you guys want to check out a great website on how to learn how to design a game engine, he actually walks through it from the very first moment of life until he's completely designed a game engine. There's 200 videos, basically from start to finish, and I have finished 200 videos of how to do a game engine.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're quitting NVIDIA to become your own independent game developer. Is that what I'm hearing?
Not at all. Not at all. I'm doing it on behalf of the NVIDIA effort.
I see. Well, that's disappointing. I don't have anything. I don't have any way to follow up on that because I would just ask, "Oh, what are you working on, Tom?"
Hey, what are you doing?
And then you'd say, "Well, I can't really talk
about it, but it's really cool. I am so excited about what's coming up. I've been working on this thing for a couple of years, and I am super excited. It's going to be great. You're going to be blown away.
Like I don't.
You are. You're going to be blown away.
It's like a buzzkill for the whole stream, right? Oh man, I got this really cool secret.
No. You remember when I think I've probably talked about this with you, but you probably don't remember.
I'm not syncing the two. And obviously, right now, I don't actually want to make the connection because
Good.
I may actually say it out loud. And
don't say it out loud.
I don't want to do that.
Good boy. Hey, I like your shirt, by the way. I actually looked at it online, and I was ready to make the purchase, and I called Tracy in here, and I said, "Look at that shirt. I'm going to buy that shirt." She goes, "Baby, it's not for you, babe. Not for you."
No, we could have worn it at the same time, and we would have been twinsies.
Does it come in a men's version?
It comes in an extra large, and I'm like, it does. It comes in a man's version.
Oh, cool.
Oh man, floral print is my thing. It's just, I tell you what.
By the way, there's a lot of shirts there that are cool too. That's not the only one. That is one of many.
Where did you find the shirt at?
It's on an Amazon store, and there's somebody put in the link in the chat.
Yeah, wow, you were paying attention. That you were watching this whole time.
I told you, dude. I've been watching your thing all day.
Oh man, somebody's got to. So what do you guys? So what about Vulcan? Right, you guys were generally known to have. Probably the best OpenGL implementation in terms of driver support. What about Vulcan support? What can you say about that?
I think Vulcan is going to be great. I mean, it's sort of why wouldn't you do it? We're obviously we've released our first certified Vulcan driver, and we got great performance, and we're going to continue to invest in making Vulcan as great as it can possibly be. So the way I look at it is, sure, absolutely, Vulcan is going to evolve over time, and we're going to continue to invest to make it great.
All right.
Yeah, that's our thing. Invest, make it great.
Invest, make it great. Let's see, what else we got for you? I can't believe you're not playing any games right now. Like that was a whole line of questioning I had laid out here.
Okay, so I am in fact still playing a game that I played. I'm now up over 1,500 hours playing this one game, and I still do dabble in it. So should I tell you what game that is?
Is it Anno?
It is, in fact, still Anno. I got to get off the Anno. Although at where was I? PDX Land.
Yeah.
I was playing the new expansion for, I guess, Legacy of the Void. Totally fun.
Oh, okay. I haven't tried that yet.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Coonrad if he's any good at StarCraft anymore, but I think he's kind of moved on from StarCraft.
No, he's not really any good at video games.
No, I saw him playing the Bash the Guy thing, and he died very quickly.
He did. Even when he was trying to teach me how to play the game. So,
it's so sad. He leaves NVIDIA, and guess what happens? He loses all of his gamer skills.
Does that happen to you, Jess, too?
You, you just never had gamer skills. I love you, brother, but you never had gamer skills. And by the way, happy birthday to you, Jesh, yesterday.
Yesterday. Oh, okay.
Yes,
I was going to say,
yes.
we could have had him on as a special guest. So let me ask you this. You do a lot of different things at NVIDIA. Obviously, you were one of the people behind what G-Sync became. I don't know. Apparently, you've done some other things too. You're apparently
GPU
working,
Boost.
GPU Boost. There you go.
G-Sync,
Right. You're apparently doing something new now.
I am.
But yet you also go to PDX Land.
I do.
Yet you also kind of go up there on stage and you like to interact with the gamers and the consumers directly. Why? Why is that? What makes that interesting for you as opposed to what we see from most of these kind of higher level executives, which may be a stretch to call you that.
That's definitely a stretch to call me that.
But they kind of, they stopped doing that. They hate getting the hard questions.
I have a great time doing it. So to me, I think my personality is just, it makes it fun for me to go, talk to a big crowd and sort of have them be excited and having fun together. And since I work for NVIDIA, which is, got some resource, I can go out there and I can give away stuff to people that just love it. Now, who wouldn't do that, right? That's just a ton of fun. And I also learn things. So when I go out to, say, Portland, and I'm with Matt, he's going to sit down, he's going to tell me what are the problems he's having, what does he wish the graphics cards are doing that, what does he wish that we could do differently? And a lot of the ideas that I get that we take to market, that we build technology around, have come from gamers, right? It's you cannot solve problems for gamers unless you are with gamers, right? So that's what I do.
And you've done that for us. You've come to QuakeCon. Hopefully you'll be coming back with us this August as well. Now that hopefully, I'm pretty sure my wife won't be having any additional children in the summer time frame.
Last time I was out there was a busy day.
It was.
It was a very busy day.
It was. Tom happened to, maybe it was your fault, because Tom was out here visiting with us, and then my wife went in the hospital to have a baby that very day.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I could kind of blame you.
Sure.
I'm getting screamed at a lot in the chat to ask you about open source, NVIDIA extending support for open source drivers. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know exactly the claims here. I don't know if they're just talking about more open on the Linux side or greater support for open source type stuff like Vulcan and all OS levels. What are your comments to them?
Well, I can tell you that I love open source stuff. I think everybody does, because it allows the community to collaborate and communicate and kind of contribute to make things better. Now, in the case of our driver, we're kind of put between a rock and a hard place. We have technology that we think is proprietary, that we've spent a long time developing and building, and it's embodied in our software driver. That's what our DX driver is, and that's what, it comes to you in binary form because there's sensitive IP in that piece of technology. So if we open source it, meaning that we put all of the proprietary code out in the public, obviously we're going to lose the benefit for all of that investment, and we'll be less likely to continue to invest in that in the future. So we're kind of torn. We can either put out a closed driver in the sense that it's a binary that you can't kind of look inside and see all the secrets, or we would have to nerf it, right? We'd have to take out that IP in a public source driver. So I think that's the tension, right? It's not that we don't like open source. We love open source, and it's good for the it's good for the universe. But we also simultaneously have to protect our IP, which is what helps us grow our company and reinvest in gaming. I think the question could also be related to GameWorks, and when you think about open and GameWorks, people are commenting that, well, if NVIDIA would just make all the GameWorks stuff open and free, then everybody could benefit more from that. And it's a misunderstanding of the investment that's required to do that kind of stuff. We have over 300 senior engineers that are developing algorithms that get embodied and baked into our GameWorks software, and we basically take care of all the hard work. It comes out as effectively a middleware. And, it's totally optional. People don't have to use it. But if we didn't do it, it would not get done. So it's again, that kind of tension of we're going to invest in IP and we're going to make it better and better and better. And we're going to help game guys use that technology for the benefit of PC gaming if we can.
And what about, how does this, it may not apply to this anything specific, but people are talking about, Vulcan support being pushed back into older generations of architecture like Fermi. And apparently some slides came out that originally said it would go back that far, but maybe now newer slides are coming out that say they don't support, will not go back that far. Do you know anything on that?
I don't know the specific issue on which GPUs are going to be supported for Vulcan. I assume that just like most of our tech, if we can take a technology and roll it backwards, we generally do. And it's if we're not rolling it back, usually it's because there's a technological challenge associated with an earlier GPU. So in this case, I don't know the details of what would make Vulcan harder or easier, but that's generally the rationale.
All right. Let's see. I'm looking through here. Nothing else pops out to me on the question side. So let me ask you this: what changes next on display technology?
Ooh. Well, I think it's pretty clear that HDR is coming, right? And HDR, for those of you guys that don't know, it allows us to show higher luminance, right? That's brightness, higher brightness and contrast. But it also allows wider gamuts, which is deeper reds and deeper blues and all. And you can kind of see the true colors of flowers and things. So HDR, it can be pretty compelling, but there is a bunch of work. And I mean a bunch of work that has to happen in the content development pipeline and also on the display side. So HDR is coming to TVs first. And obviously, that's going to be very good for enabling the ecosystem. And then shortly after that, I hope to see HDR monitors that would effectively allow content developers to take advantage of those expanded gamuts and show vivid, beautiful blacks and whites and colors on PC gaming. I think that's going to be very, very cool. Now, there's other concepts that are out there, but I don't think they're close to making it to market anytime soon. HDR, I think, is going to be certainly coming in the next year, and you'll see us starting to do more and more and more with HDR technology. Hopefully, I believe, very, very soon.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But I'm excited, by the way, about all the other technology that can be applied to monitors. You're seeing higher and higher resolutions. You're seeing, better display technologies, and I think that's going to continue. And by the way, I still think that none of that stuff was really happening before we kind of kickstarted the monitor market with G-Sync. So I'm excited about how that sort of helped sort of say, hey, you can actually, there's a big market here, and now monitor guys are pretty excited about it again.
Yeah, other than see resolution increases, I guess you're right. Before VRR and G-Sync, it was fairly stagnant.
Pretty quiet.
If you look at a game like Ashes, what we've talked about a little bit earlier, they implement asynchronous shaders. Obviously, AMD makes a big deal about supporting asynchronous shaders. NVIDIA has said publicly that it's not enabled in their drivers that are out there yet. Is that something that's going to come to Maxwell GPUs still? Or is that a Pascal GPU thing?
I can't give you any more data right now on our plans for that kind of technology. I'm just going to let that happen when it happens. But I do want to talk a little bit about DX12 and the performance that we're seeing right now. There are a lot of people who are making claims about how we may or may not be advantaged or disadvantaged. I can assure you that for DX12, it's very, very early days. And I suspect, and I'm pretty sure, that you're going to see very, very comparable performance situation on DX12 that we've seen earlier. And I hope that as more titles become available, users and reviewers will begin to see a bigger trend, really. We have a huge development team. We have a huge QA team that's working on DX12 and working on the performance for DX12 to make sure that we remain world class, and that's where we're going.
All right. Now, I know you have a hard out. You have a dinner date that you need to.
You know what? Attend. I do, but Drew canceled on me, so he is evidently sick tonight.
No.
So yeah, I'm still gonna hard out. You can kick me out anytime, but I'm not going to dinner.
I'm a little sad now. Like I can't believe you got dumped on your dinner date.
I did. I got dumped. And if Drew, you're watching, you should feel about that.
It's funny because we had David Hewlett on, and he had the flu and literally drug himself out of the bed to do the stream against his wife's wishes in order to do the stream. So there's that.
That's dedication. That's dedication. And you bring that out in people, Ryan Shrout. You do.
I definitely do. Do you have any questions? What would you ask the community? Like if you were to ask people watching now, or the people that will watch this later, because I'm sure there will be tens of thousands of people that will rewatch the entire 12-hour live stream.
Of course.
When we put it up on YouTube. What would you want to ask them? Like, what do you want to know personally, or what do you guys, as NVIDIA, as a company, want to know?
Well, you know what I actually am very interested in right now is, at what point do you notice things? So there's a large variation in people, in humans, for what they can notice. And I'm talking about things like, well, at what point in terms of duration of a stutter do you notice it? Like for you, I bet you would say, Ryan, that you can tell a stutter when you see it, but do you realize, you look at these frame charts all the time, they're showing these little wiggly lines. Which ones can you see and which ones can't you see? And that's going to vary by human. So one thing I'm very curious about is, what is bad in terms of stutter, and at what point can humans tell? And the second thing I'm also very curious about is latency. So similar to stutter, you would kind of say, what's the, how much delay can a human being sense? How much can you see, and how much can you feel before it becomes a problem? And I have some numbers in my head. I'd be curious, what I'd really like to do is sample 10,000 gamers and get real data on that.
That sounds like a difficult process to do, to sample 10,000 gamers.
It does. But I might put an app out for that, right? Because you can imagine that I could probably do an app that would have some fixed frames, some fixed frame patterns, and allow people to, rate each experience on a 1 to 10, and then automatically update me.
Yeah,
so
that's a good idea.
It's certainly possible.
Yeah. I mean, do you think, is that latency question more involved towards like normal mouse keyboard stuff, or specifically to like VR latency?
It's everything. I mean, obviously, it's critical for VR latency, and I think we know the number for VR is actually very, very low, and lower is better. But for normal gaming, it varies a lot based on game type and also the type of gamer that you are. So latency is a critical characteristic for desktop PC gaming as well as VR, and it's just something that I'm really fascinated to look at more over time. So this idea of putting out an app that might can up some experiences and let people give us feedback directly, that could be pretty cool.
All right. So are you going to come out and visit us here anytime soon to do any more live streams coming up?
We are. We're going to come out soon.
You got any dates for us?
Soon.
All right. If I didn't ask,
I want to see him there. I want Ken to be there. I want everybody to be there. I'm going to take you guys out to dinner. It's going to be fun.
What about my daughter? Can she come to dinner?
Yes, of course. I got to meet your daughter, and I got to say hi to Kelly. See, I haven't seen Kelly in like a year, so
that's
totally
true.
Come out.
That's true. Yeah. Except on that phone call yesterday, which was.
By the way, how do you like your autopilot?
It works really well. After that call, it ended up raining really hard, and then the camera had issues seeing the lane markers, so you had to actually drive the car.
Wow. See, that's a downside.
I know.
Of the pilot.
I know.
Let's say you're leaning back in your chair and you're drinking a Bud Light, heading down to watch Kentucky basketball, and it starts raining.
Well, one, you're not allowed to do that.
Okay.
And two, they tell you that you're supposed to keep your hands on the wheel regardless. Okay. So there is that. Like they're very careful about how they're wording things for things like autopilot, for sure.
Yeah. Well, just on that topic in general, I got to tell you, I am excited about some of the stuff we're doing on deep learning, and if you get a chance, definitely tune into GTC coming up. You're going to see a whole lot more. Last year was almost entirely about deep learning, and this year is again going to be very, very heavy into deep learning, which is effectively what allows us to do self-driving cars and augmented cars and learning algorithms for driving. It's a very exciting field, and I think there's a lot to be done there.
You should tell your marketing staff, your event staff, to not schedule GTC at the same time as the Final Four.
Oh my God, is that right? Did we do that?
Yeah, the Monday of GTC is the championship game.
Oh my God, do you know when the keynote is? When's Jensen keynote? Please, it's not like at the same time.
I think it's like Tuesday morning.
Okay, all right. So after
like that. Yeah, but I wouldn't be able to get in until after, right? This is obviously this is a different conversation. All kinds of assumptions.
Are you coming? Are you coming to GTC?
I don't know yet.
Wow. For basketball, Jesus.
It's not just basketball.
All right.
It's my basketball.
We make our own choices, buddy.
I do. So, if you don't have dinner plans tonight, maybe you join us a little bit later tonight. We're going to play some Counter-Strike on the stream. Where
I might.
Ken has to use a Steam controller and I get to use a mouse and keyboard, and we're going to see who kills who more often. Right? Because Ken thinks so lowly of my gaming capability that he thinks that's
Wow.
he has a chance,
he thinks he can beat you. Is Ken there?
Yeah, he's running. Who do you think's running all this stuff?
All right, so Ken, you think you can beat Ryan with a controller?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god!
Not just a controller,
down.
a Steam controller.
Hands down.
Like that he's had maybe a couple of hours of practice with that.
Now, Ken, you got to use the little trackpad, right? You can't use the.
Yep.
Wow. I don't know. I mean, Ryan does suck, but that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
We'll see.
We'll see. Tom, thank you.
Is my connection really bad, or is it okay?
You go in and out. You have like every handful of minutes, it would garble up, and then it would take 15 seconds for it to get back up to speed.
Interesting. Okay, well, I'm going to check that.
You should run. What's the? Is it a trace route to us, maybe, or something like that?
No, Skype's all centralized now.
Skype's all centralized.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but it's almost like I don't know what internet company you have.
I'll check it out.
Out there,
I'll check it out.
But
I don't want to throw them under the bus, whoever they are.
You might want to, but I mean, if it's a cable company, go for it.
Here's the thing: I've got such new gear here. My fancy microphone here. Does everybody see the fancy microphone?
Yeah.
Look at that. All for you, brother.
Tom, people in there were commenting. Tom went out and bought a webcam and a microphone so that he could be at a decent quality state for us on the stream. Because he was using, I threw you under the bus earlier, Tom, because
I can't believe you said that. I watched it while you were throwing me under the bus. You know that.
Using a stick mic. And then did it have compact on it? Does it have compact on the stick mic?
Wait a second. It's a Logitech.
Oh,
Tell you, Jesh. Hold on.
It's a Logitech stick mic? I didn't know that company ever made stick mics. What is he doing?
There you go.
Yeah. All right.
See, it's not bad.
Yeah, it is.
It's not that bad.
Yeah, it is.
I'm sure that if you asked Jesh all about this or Coonrad, they give you a good.
That was way before their time.
Yeah, I thought it was hot shit with that thing. Man.
All right, man. Well, we're gonna get off here. We're gonna go to coming up next. By the way, Tom, if you want to learn how to solder, Alan is gonna teach us how to solder. So
that might be worth watching.
He's
Alan,
pretty
do you
good.
know how to solder? Do you actually know what you're
Alan
doing?
learned to solder from the Navy nuclear program, so I think he's pretty good at it.
Well, I saw you guys are doing the orange over there. Is this all tied into the orange?
No, this is a random 3D print that people are guessing what it is in the chat. Some people have gotten it right, I think, thus far.
It's obviously an orange, right? It's clearly an orange.
It's clearly an orange. It is clearly
Yeah.
orange in color. I'll give you that. That's a problem.
Oh, by the way, I want to thank you because I learned something today. The whole idea that you have these dissolvable meshes on the inside of those things, that's cool.
Yeah, you didn't know that? Okay. Yeah,
I did not know
even
that.
I knew that.
Water-soluble mesh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, very exciting.
It is. All right, Tom, we'll talk to you soon. I'll text you when we're going to do our Counter-Strike gaming if you want to get in. Also, we're going to do racing games, but if I don't know if you play Dirt Rally or Project Cars at all.
Yeah, with a controller.
Yeah, we can play with controller. We have lots of people play with controller. We've got our Logitech racing wheels here we're going to use. But
that'll be fun. That'll be fun. Yeah. Well, I might check in with Tracy, and we'll see. I'm not really sure what our plans are for the night, but if I am in fact idle, I might want to play some Counter-Strike just to watch you lose.
You can do that too. All right.
All right, see you, man.
Bye, Tom.
Take care.
If you enjoyed this content, consider supporting in-depth technical content by contributing at patreon.com/PCPer.